Alright, so if you clicked on this video, you're probably wondering what the title is referring to. And it's just a thought I had while I was on this walk. I mean, most of these videos, they're all non-scripted, and they're just whatever's on my mind that I feel like I need to share with you guys. So, referring to the multiple personality thing, you could have several yous living in this one form, but all of those several yous are just variations of the mind. And if you're able to step outside of that, you can see through self-inquiry that these other yous are almost like you're constantly shape-shifting. And it may vary from moment to moment or day to day. You know, there's no like... I've noticed that sometimes there may be triggers that can trigger these yous to come out. There may be certain occurrences you have happen in your day-to-day life that allow these other yous to surface. And you may be wondering, okay, well, all of these other me's keep popping up. Which one is the real me? And I'm here to tell you that actually they're all you, relatively, but they're not the actual you. They're not the actual authentic self. Your authentic self is just a consciousness. It's not the mind. You're not the mind. You're not the persona you think you are. Even though this illusory nature that we have to deal with seems like it's really us while we're here, and it's supposed to be that way. The ego serves a purpose, you know. It helps us get through this life. It helps us navigate all these circumstances. You need it, so there's no reason to get rid of it, but you don't always have to constantly identify with it. I think there are moments that will happen in our lifetimes, in your life, in my life, that it's necessary to identify with it. You need to be a part of this play. It's important. And the ego will get very irritated if you don't conduct your part in the play. If you try to walk away, like I tried to give up sex, I tried to give up buying figures, I tried to give up my family and my friends and walk away from all that. And I wasn't very serious because I didn't last very long. I got very lonely, and I live by myself, and it's been nice, but I need social interaction. I need these relationships in my life. They're very important to my being. Even playing video games like RuneScape and Halo are very important to my being. They allow me to create a social structure in my life that defines my purpose. And it doesn't have to get in the way of this awakening process that I find myself going through at the moment. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to walk away from your desires. In fact, you need to grind through your desires, and you can grind at your own pace. You could go hardcore mode and just pleasure, 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 and just hit that dopamine button until you fry out. Because you could do it that way, or you could just sort of have a melodic pace. There's no rush with this growing in awareness. I don't want to make a conception that enlightenment or awakening is something to attain, because it's not. If anything, it's more like a process. It's a process that our consciousness goes through to grow and evolve. And That's what this lifetime is for. Your specific life, these desires you have. This is your task. This is your work. This is what your consciousness should be focusing on. But simultaneously, if you're aware to this extent, you could play both worlds. You can play the world of navigating your desires and navigating these tough circumstances you're going to be dealt in life, while simultaneously going within and paying attention to the inner world. It's all about balance. It's all about living through our desires, but learning to balance along the way. And nothing is ever going to be perfect in this reality. I can't say for other realities, because we're on planet Earth right now, and we're all human beings learning what it's like to be a human being. So I can only speak on the human side of things. As long as you're a human, as long as you're in some sort of human form, you're never going to be perfect. Even the Buddha wasn't perfect. He died. He lived and died a normal human life. And before he became the Buddha, he had sex. He drank. He went to parties. His dad was a king. And he was shielded from the suffering of the world. But once he found the suffering, found out it existed, and saw like a sick man on the street and a dead body, and he was just so intrigued by it that he had to seek something within, was seeking answers, was seeking something more than the pleasures of life. And that's why he left and pursued a path of I guess you could call it the monk nomadic lifestyle, and it led him to where he but the desires all led him there. If he wouldn't have, from the day he was born, if he would have just went to a temple and became a monk and meditated all day, then he wouldn't have ended up a Buddha. His story, his destiny was to be a Buddha from the very beginning. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Our story, the script, it's already written. Whether you're going to attain, I don't want to use the word attain, whether you are going to become enlightened in this life or not is not up to you. It's up to the universe. The universe has all the cards, and it makes the move that it's supposed to make. So the only part that you're supposed to do is what you've been doing all along. It's just taking it day by day, maybe going for a walk in the woods, and going within and listening and attuning yourself to where the universe wants you at this particular moment in time. And all these personas that our mind keeps projecting onto ourselves and maybe even onto others is all just an illusion. And sometimes it can be quite a hassle to deal with. You might find yourself very restless, and you may need to do what I'm doing. I need to get away from watching movies and playing video games and get outside. And when you first do that, you may want to go back inside. Your mind's going to want to keep up I want to jump back on that hamster wheel and finish that movie. I want to get back on the video games. And you can go back to that, but I think it's necessary as a daily practice that we cultivate habits in our lives, healthy habits that are going to keep us grounded, but still pursue your desires. You want to go have sex? Go have sex. You want to smoke weed? Go smoke weed. You want to play video games all day? Play video games. You want to travel? You want to go make a bunch of money? Yeah, go do all that stuff. But simultaneously, find at least 30 minutes to an hour of that day and just go outside. Don't do anything. Well, if you have to do something, go for a walk outside, because that's what I'm doing. I can't just sit in a room and force myself to meditate. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes I will meditate, but I don't meditate every day because I just can't. My mind isn't at that point yet. I have desires I have to live out. I have to do this. I had to go on this walk. This had to happen. You know? And I'm making these videos to share my part of the process, where I'm at. And maybe you can relate, or maybe you can't. And if you can't, I don't know why you're still watching this video. But the, you know, whew, yeah, little stinging insects freak me out a little bit. See, I still have fears. I'm still a human being. I'm still experiencing all of this. So, don't let your personas keep you from embracing your spirituality. Don't think, oh man, my desires are bad. I need to stop them, because that's the wrong way to go about it. All of our identities we embrace while simultaneously tapping in with our internal consciousness. And we just, your sexual identity, your social identity, your political identity, your religious identity, your what your friends think of you, your family identity, all of these identities that we associate with, your anime identity, your movie identity, your video game identity. You know, when we play video games and we watch movies, these are little triggers that will trigger those personas to come up. For instance, before coming on this walk, I was at home. I woke up a couple hours ago, and the first thing I did was jump on RuneScape and put on Avengers Infinity War. And before that, I bought a Captain America figure on eBay. It was the Infinity War Captain America. I was like, man, that's a cool figure. I kind of want to buy it. It was an impulsive decision to buy it, you know. I was kind of conscious, but then kind of not there. When I was purchasing the figure, my thoughts were like, well, you're still in debt. You really shouldn't buy this. But my desires were like, oh, I want this right now, you know, and I bought it, you know, and this is all a process. And then after that, I put on Infinity War because I wanted to see Cap fight Thanos and fight the little Thanos minions, and at the same time grinding on RuneScape. So, because my mind, I can't just sit there and watch a movie anymore. I have to be doing something while watching the movie. And usually by doing something, video games are the best outlet for that for me, because I'm still accomplishing something. Because if I sit there and I try, and sometimes I can just sit there and watch a movie, but a lot of the time I can't. My mind will be like, well, you have this goal in RuneScape. You really want to wield this scythe, and you got to raise your attack to 90 to be able to do that. So I'm just like, oh man. And while I'm watching the movie, my mind will tell me that you could be raising your attack to 90. You could be raising your attack to 90. It just doesn't leave me alone. So I have to get on RuneScape, and I have to do that while watching the movie. And some people may think that's like crazy. But you know, like it's kind of normal for me. But at the same time, I have to step away from that world, because that's a separate reality. I just left planet Earth, and now I'm in two universes. I'm in the Marvel universe with Captain America, and I'm in the RuneScape universe skill grinding. So, and maybe while doing both of those, I may send a text or two on my phone. So, you know, it's And by the way, RuneScape's a great game for that. If you need something, it's not necessarily brain rot because it does require thinking, but it's very minimal thinking, and you can usually like watch a movie or listen to an audiobook while playing RuneScape. You could probably even do your math homework while playing RuneScape. It's just the only critical thinking RuneScape requires is getting all the preparatory stuff in order before you start to do what you're about to do. So, for instance, if you're going to skill grind, I'm going to do fletching, so I need to make 1,000 arrows. So what you would do is you would get the arrowheads and the shafts with the feathers on them, and you would prepare all that before making the arrows, and then you just make the arrows. And then while you're making the arrows, because that doesn't require any thinking, you could be doing something else that does require thinking or entertainment of some kind. So it's kind of like a great way of keeping the mind on that hamster wheel that it wants to jump on. So these are separate realities that we all hop into, and they trigger these personas in our heads. But we also have to step away from that because our mind will go crazy. You know, because you're not just the mind. You're also, well, relatively speaking, because none of this is permanent. When you die, you're not going to be the body or the mind anymore. But while you're in the mind, your body also needs attention. You know, you need to eat. You need to go outside and go for a walk. You need to get sunlight. You need to drink water, you know. Maybe a couple of push-ups or exercise, whichever one suits you. And yeah, it's about finding that balance that is the right mold for our life. You know, because not everybody's mold is going to be the same. So that's not being so caught in our personas and all of these external devices that shift our attention away from our other needs in life. It's all about balance. So, and I think one day out of the week, or more if you need it, you just need to set aside time to do nothing. Absolutely nothing. No video games, just nothing. You know, whatever that nothing is for you. But if you have to do something, preferably do something outside, away from the screens for one day, just to kind of refresh everything. It's kind of like if you leave your PC on all the time and you never update it and you just keep downloading stuff, then the memory is going to take up and it's just going to be an overload and it's going to start to melt. That's what these human bodies are. We each have a breaking point. And sometimes when we push that past that breaking point, we recover. We can we can always, like, I guess, sort of shove that, like break the limit, so to say, but you're always going to have a limit. You're always going to have a limit. So no matter how hard you push it and how much you accomplish and how much you succeed, you're going to hit a breaking point where you're going to need a break. And rest is important. And sometimes people go their whole life, they'll live 60 years just grinding. That's great. They're living out their desires and they're getting closer to becoming more conscious, right? In terms of lifetimes, you know, because we're all going to die, and once you exit this body, you're just going to go right on to the next life, whatever that is, or go over to the next realm, whatever happens after death. But, you know, yeah, they'll grind their whole life, and their rest is when they die. And that's how they think. And you can live like that, you know, but just know if you do choose to live like that, that your lifespan probably won't be as long. And 2 examples I'll leave with you before I hop off this, because this video's at, yeah, we're at 20 minutes. So I got to wrap this up. But anyway, my dad died at the age of 35, and he grinded practically his entire life. He would rest, but his mind, I guess, just wouldn't leave him alone. And his death was painful to him and to others, but also it was like quick. Like he was in this life, flying through it by the seat of his pants, and then out this life. And, you know, that's not my business. That's the universe's business. And I miss my father. I want to see him again one day. But then somebody like my grandpa, who hasn't accomplished as much as my dad, like, you know, recognition and all this stuff, he's still alive, and he's 84 and a half years old. And he's lived a relatively simple existence. And when I compare the two, I'm more inclined to want to live like my grandpa. Because, well, I'd say somewhere in the middle, actually. Because I still have desires, like accomplishments, but they're not really for an audience. They're more like if they're to help other people. Like I'm doing these YouTube videos to want to just share my experience with people and see if they can relate, and see if I can help the world become more conscious and more peaceful. Or they're just for myself, like the RuneScape goal I have, level 90 attack. I'm not doing that for attention. That's just, I want to wield that scythe, and it's just personal to me. So choose your life, choose it wisely, and you can always change your mind along the way. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content. I'll be back online either tomorrow or in a couple of days. And turn on the notification bell if you wish to get updates on these videos. Please share your thoughts below. I'll engage with the comments. So, all right, you guys have a nice day. Bye.